local sheriff. And a lot of times these folks are actually going back to their own counties. So he contacted the senator and said it would be good if they was contacted actually where the folks are going back to. So that's the bill, and Mr. Speaker, with that, I renew my motion.
Representative Hicks renews this motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Speaker. And Sponsor, just a question about these involuntary commitments. I understand reporting to law enforcement. Are people's families notified if they are being involuntarily committed to these facilities?
Representative Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill doesn't address that in any way, shape, or form. This is only whenever they're being released.
Representative Pearson.
Thank you. And the purpose of letting law enforcement know, like, have these folks committed crimes? Is that why we're notifying law enforcement?
Representative Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If they have been involuntarily committed, it could have been a crime. It could have been, some other issue that they have. They've definitely had an issue to get involuntary committed. And a lot of these folks, some of them are homeless. And I think that the law enforcement where these folks are from really wants to know when they're coming back. It's more of a fact that they want to know that they're going to be sort of roaming the streets, and honestly, they want to take care of them. From what I'm hearing, they really want to be able to just know that they're coming back, and that way they can sort of look for them.
Representative Pearson.
Thank you for answering the question. And the other thing is the Department of Mental Health or any health departments also notified, or right now that you know of, or is this only just to let law enforcement know? Because to your point, there's so much more treatment that is necessary for people who might be involuntarily committed. And there's also a desire on my part, and it's something for us to probably talk about after this legislation, to make sure families are notified so that their loved ones aren't literally disappearing for 5 days and people don't know where they are. And come to find out, we have them, or an entity in our government has them.
Representative Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I couldn't agree more. But this bill only addresses whenever they are released. They are being released from a mental health facility. Hopefully they've got the care that they need. Hopefully they've got, something, a little hope in their life to be able to go back to where they come from. But if they go back in the same situations, man, that's tough. That's really tough on folks. So, but at least law enforcement will be there. They'll know they're there, and they can keep an eye on them. So,
Representative Pearson.
Look, I appreciate your comments and our perspective aligning here. I don't know, because to your point, they're going back to these situations, right, that very likely could have caused the troubles that they're having, and having more of that wraparound and having that in our code is something that I think is equally as important, if not more important, than just the notification also being to law enforcement. Yes, law enforcement needs to know, but I don't want people who are having a mental health episode to then have some presumption, that they're going to do something wrong. And so our effort here is just to notify law enforcement, while also, right, when these episodes do occur, people are having these challenges, but folks typically do call law enforcement to deal with it. And so I can understand why and how this legislation came about. I don't think I can support it only because it is only sending this to law enforcement, and it's not dealing with the other things you just articulated really well, which is the situation that they're going back to. And that's something I would, even after session, talk with you about, because we need to deal with the root causes of what is leading to people being engaged with law enforcement or being, involuntarily committed. And notifying other agencies that actually could provide those wraparound services could prevent someone from ever, being involuntarily committed in the first place. And so that's why I appreciate your answers to the question. That's why I won't be able to support it right now, but I hope that maybe we can work on something that addresses sort of some of those more systemic issues, even if it's just more notification to different agencies so that they get the wraparound services that they need. But I appreciate you answering the questions.
Representative Hicks.